Hey up. This time I'm having a chat with Jo Cook, aka Entangles Design. That's her design page. Jo is massively into her fibre art, which includes needle felting and wet felting, and this is amongst other techniques and processes too. Jo has a history in craft and doing things yourself, which you'll hear about in the podcast. We also talk about her daughter's health complications with melanoma, a couple of separate parts within the recording. It was really nice to have this chat and learn something new. I was actually making a felted sheep throughout the first half of the podcast, so apologies if I sound a little distracted at certain moments. But yeah, anyway, if you're ready, let's go. These two different types of needle.
Right, so they're different thicknesses. So this is quite a basic triangle needle. Sorry, it's a bit bent because it's been used.
Had some use.
Yeah. So it's quite a coarse one. So when you're starting off with this is what we call core wool. Mm-hmm. So this is what's inside most of the needed felted sculptures that you see.
Yeah. So it's like the sort of basis of the shape.
So it's the cheaper, coarser wool.
Yeah.
So because you need to get that going, you tend to use the coarser needle. Right. And then as it begins to felt, you'll find that that's difficult to use. So then you go down, you move down.
Smaller needles and things.
It's higher the number though, so it goes up in number, but down in fineness.
Yeah.
And then this one is, as I say, it's a triangle needle, so it'll felt a little bit quicker. But have a go. So don't stab too hard, otherwise you're going to stab your knee.
Yeah, that won't be good.
So you're going to aim for this, look.
So something just flat, basically, to start with.
Let's put that one out of the way.
It's sort of massing it together, isn't it?
So the way it works is the needles have got little barbs on them.
Yeah.
The wool's got scales in it. Yeah. So as it pushes in, as you stab it in, pushes the scales together and they lock, and that's how the felting.
Right, so it sort of combines it a bit more.
So it'll take a little while, take about 15 minutes. So just keep going around and then and stab it in on the sides. Not sides, is it?
It's already taking a bit of a shape, isn't it?
Yeah. So, but don't go too hard, you'll go through your knee.
Yeah, it's sort of like a light. Once you hit the base.
Yeah, you just get into a rhythm, and it's quite therapeutic when you start getting into the rhythm.
Yeah. Wow.
But are you going to be able to talk and do that at the same time?
I don't know. When did you start doing this, Jo?
Felting.
Yeah.
I think about 20 years ago, might be a bit longer even.
Really?
Oh no, it probably is about 20 years because we've lived here about 21. I went to a wet felting workshop in Sleaford at the Hub, and really enjoyed it. Yeah, I'd not tried it out before that. Really enjoyed the wet felting, and then as I was looking for supplies online to do that, I discovered this needle felting. So I thought, I'll try that. So I'm self-taught really to start off with. Yeah. But back then is when the kids were younger, obviously, because you're the same age as my son, so you'll know how. I just concentrated on making like beads and brooches and things like that. I did a lot of mixed media jewellery. Yeah. And then did that for a couple of years, and then put it all away because work got in the way. And
were you creative before that then?
I've always been creative.
You've always been interested.
I've always made things. Yeah.
What did you first do when you were younger then? Like what was?
When I was younger, sewing. My mum was a seamstress. She used to make everything, all our clothes and everything.
Really?
And she knitted and crocheted, and my nana crocheted, and my dad was a painter and decorator. My granddad was an artist, so it's just all.
Wow, very creative family then.
Yeah, it's quite creative.
That's nice.
So I used to sew when I was little.
Yeah.
And then made my own clothes and things. And
wow. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah. I'm a steampunk, so I make outfits for that. So.
Yeah. I saw that you'd done a bit of that. So that's the thing that goes on in Lincoln, isn't it? The event.
Yeah.
Or is that like a steampunk is a more general term, but they're just what they call the thing that happens in Lincoln is steampunk, isn't it?
It's steampunk at the asylum.
Yeah.
Because it started off at the asylum and the lawns there.
Yeah. When did they do that then? What time of year is it?
It's August bank holiday weekend.
Right, yeah. And have you always gone to that since it started, or
not since the very beginning?
No,
for about 8 years, I think.
Yeah,
go with my daughter.
Yeah, my cousin really liked that when she's from Australia. Well, she's actually English, but she's lived in Australia a lot of her life, and she came back and she like found out that was going on. She was like, oh, "This is amazing," and she went the whole day and really enjoyed herself. So this is starting to take shape.
Concentrating and sort of do your sides as well.
Keep the sides in.
Yeah. So anyway, so then life gets in the way, and I was working full time at a special needs school in Lincoln.
Yeah.
And obviously then kids were into exams and everything else, don't you? And then
you're busy, aren't you?
Yeah. And
busy with life.
Yeah. And then, as you know, Rosie got ill because you wanted to ask me about that.
Yes. So your daughter Rosie.
Yeah. So
she had melanoma, is it?
She had a nodular melanoma.
Yeah.
Which was a rarer melanoma.
Mm.
So when she was ill, I had just before I think she was diagnosed.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It was just after. I can't remember now. Somebody was looking for somebody to run a felting workshop in Mint Lane Cafe in Lincoln because they'd been donated a lot of kits.
Yeah.
So I piped up and said, "Well, I could do that." So I did.
Yeah.
And that's when I started getting back into the felting thing because I hadn't done it for a little while. I thought, I really enjoy this.
Yeah,
so I dug everything back out again.
So it'd been a while.
Then realised it had been a while, and then realised, whoa, there's way more available now, and so much more to it now than when I first started. So I started making the sculptures and things, and just found it. I think without it, I don't think I would have got through that time really, because it just kept me going.
Take your mind off what was going on with it.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do, is there? Really, once you know and you've done the right things to help her.
Yeah. Well, she lived in York as well, so it's she had a lot of treatment and operations in Leeds. So I would go through and meet her at Leeds, and I'd stay with her in York, or brought her home after a big operation.
Is it a form? It's a form of skin cancer.
It is a skin cancer. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And,
but she was stage 3, so it was quite serious.
Yeah. It developed quite a lot. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's fine. She's still here. Could have been all different.
Yeah. So she just has to be. Just has to keep it monitored now.
She does, yeah. But she's been left with melanoma. Not melanoma. Lymphedema in her leg, so she has to wear a compression garment all the time on her leg.
Right.
And is now registered disabled. So it's all a bit,
invisible disability.
But
sort
she's
of thing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It is that.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's speaking to. I don't know if you saw the one I did the other day with
No,
Tara.
I saw it. I haven't listened to it yet.
It's quite interesting, but she had a kidney operation, with her husband gave her his kidney, and obviously that's a crazy story. But she says that sometimes, because it's changed her appearance of her stomach, sometimes she gets asked if she's like expecting or something like that, and it's really hard for her.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, it's like.
Well, not all disabilities are visible, are they? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's.
So if she sat on a chair, a seat in the bus that's for disabled people, and they look at her, and but she's every right to be there. Yeah. So
that's one of the reasons I'm doing this, really, because I feel like you can learn a lot from people by just talking to them. And it's actually really enjoyable as well. Like if you do
find out all different things.
Yeah. So you say it took your mind off it.
So it took my mind off it, and then people started saying, "Oh, I really like this.
Yeah.
Can you teach me?" Or I'd like to, can you make me one? So I started making and selling and started teaching, and that was about 6 years ago, and here we go.
Still doing it.
I'm still doing it. I'm still teaching, and
so how
people
much
now approaching me to teach workshops, which was quite nice. So
yeah, that is cool. So how much of your time do you spend doing it? Is it sort of everything outside of work?
Probably.
Most of what you do.
Quite a lot of my time.
Yeah.
I go home. I can't sorry, what did you
Gemma.
say? Gemma just said I can't sit and have the telly on and not do anything.
Yeah.
I get withdrawal symptoms if I'm not doing something.
Yeah. I'm like that.
So
Yeah. That's like this for me, really. I like to be busy with something. It takes your mind off other things, doesn't it?
So I often stab at night, especially after a bad day at work.
You make one extra fast on those days.
And then weekends I'll probably do some wet felting if I'm not trading at an event or teaching a workshop.
Yeah.
And
it's starting to flatten a bit, but I'm not really giving it enough. I'm not giving it enough.
Concentrating.
Yeah, I suppose you have to concentrate on all the areas where it's.
Yeah. Try that needle. That one might go a bit faster now that you've got it going. And try and.
Yeah, it's a bit more.
Going to the sides a bit.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So because I work in education, obviously I get the holidays, and because it's college, I get longer holidays in the summer. So I do quite a lot of my wet felting then, ready for events and fairs and things.
Yeah. So you're doing your proper like production stuff then.
Try to.
Yeah. So where do you display your stuff then?
Where do I display it?
Yeah, like where do you not sell it anywhere, like sort of thing? Or?
Well, I have got an Etsy shop, but I haven't reopened it since Christmas because I was getting sick of the expenses.
Yeah.
So no, it's just packed in boxes and comes out for fairs. Really.
Yeah.
Occasionally, manage to get to an exhibition or something.
Yeah.
But it's not really displayed anywhere at the moment.
You not go to like any sort of? I mean, I know, isn't there a place? I don't know how close you are to it, but isn't it in the whole? What's that little shop called? Is it Reloved or something?
Oh, Love from Lincolnshire.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
No, I have sold in there before, but I don't now. No.
Do you not enjoy that part of it that much, or is it just the kind of?
Oh no, it's
stress
okay.
Of it,
it's just another thing, isn't it? Because I work. Because I'm not quite full time, but almost full time.
Yeah.
It's just another thing of another place to be having to go and restock.
Fair enough.
So,
you got to have plenty of time on your hands, I suppose.
Yeah,
haven't you?
I mean, I used to sell in another place just outside Lincoln, but things got handled and damaged, and then you think, it's all my hard work gone, and people don't understand. So I just stopped. Really, I'd rather.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'd rather be there and control it myself.
I suppose the thing about it is it's quite delicate, isn't it?
Well, that's quite. They're not really. They're quite robust.
Yeah.
But they're quite attractive to children if they're like little mice and things like that. So they pick them up and pull them and things. So if you pull it, it's going to break. It's not. If you pull it hard enough.
Yeah, it is
pull an ear off, but
it isn't like mechanically put together at all.
I mean, they're pretty tough. The wet felting's very tough. It's a fabric now, so
yeah. So what's the process of the wet felting then? Is that something?
Wet felting is you tend to use for the things that you can see there. Tend to use a finer wool, and you lay it out in layers. So it's laid out like vertical, and then horizontal, and then. For a hat, it's maybe 3 or 4 layers.
So it's like kind of like it's woven in kind of thing.
Well, it's just laid on top of each other.
Yeah.
So like for a hat, for instance, I have a template, which is like a flat template that's made out of laminate floor.
To give you the general shape.
Yeah. So it's just a flat shape.
Yeah.
And then I would lay my wool on it, and then you would add soap and water and put bubble wrap or something on top. And then you agitate it and you rub it. And then you turn it over and you lay your wool on the other side as well, and tuck it all around so it's all nice and neat. And then agitate it again and rub it and roll it and keep going like that, and eventually it turns into a fabric.
It's funny, it sounds quite similar to because my family does my dad started a motorcycle accessory business in the 80s, and he makes like mud guards for bikes and stuff. It sounds quite similar because he said they used to have like a template for fiberglass, and then they would lay it into the mould, like cut it out, lay it into the mould, put the resin in, and it would create, and then come out hard, and it'd be the shape, It's
that would be a flat shape, and the template would be inside, so it'd be covered in wool all the way round.
Right. Okay.
So when it is felted together, so when it's not strands and fibres like this anymore, and it becomes a fabric, but it's not in its final state.
Yeah.
It's what they call a pre-felt, so it's still quite delicate then, and it's so. I think I just saw a bit in here. I did there. So it's still a bit delicate then.
Yeah.
And
at that point,
it's felted, but not quite felted.
Yeah.
So then
like
you would cut
material.
the template out. You'd cut it and get the template out, and then you'd go through another process with what they call fulling. So then that's another process that can take a little while, and with that process it starts shrinking, because it starts off. You have to start off about 40-50% bigger than what you want it to be. Right,
it's because of the shrinkage.
Shrink, yeah. So think about if you put a woolly jumper in a hot wash and it'll shrink. That kind of idea. So then you'll start to shrink it, and you'll shrink it, and then you'll shape it, and with the hats I'll block them, and it's just magic.
Wow. Yeah, I suppose it takes a while. It's all technique, isn't it? I suppose that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And were you saying to Gemma that you learnt a lot of it on YouTube and like?
No, I was just saying that she could find tips of
to find how to do
crocheting on YouTube.
Yeah, she's always said she's interested in that. Yeah.
I have looked. I mean, when at the beginning I used to look on YouTube. I've been lucky enough to go to workshops with some of the international felters.
Yeah.
Lockdown was good for that because it meant that they released workshops online, so we were able to access some of the workshops with the really big and international felters online.
Really, yeah.
It's a really advanced workshop. So
that was good and useful tips from things.
Still
from
learning.
there.
Yeah, still picking things up. Still learning.
That's it, isn't it? I've noticed that you got on Instagram, for example, you got quite a community of people who you talk to and stuff. And I suppose that's one of the things I said. Like, do you enjoy the sort of community aspect of it as well?
Yeah. I mean, everybody's really supportive of each other as well. I mean, especially if they're felters, if you see a technique, sometimes they'll share how they've done it. If it's one that they've learnt with somebody else, you can't always share because it's that other person's technique.
They've written it down on a proper website or something.
If it's a workshop or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is nice. I mean, there's lots of. There's quite a community of makers, not particularly felters, but makers all around Lincoln.
Yeah.
And they all see each other at different fairs.
I've been amazed by the amount of stuff I've found basically through your page, and then like looking around at what people are doing with their little pages and stuff.
If you look on the Lincolnshire Makers page, Jodie that runs that, there's lots and lots of makers on there from all over Lincolnshire.
Yeah. Now I'll definitely have to do a podcast with a few others as well. I'm sure. Yeah.
I could put a call out and see if anybody will sign up.
Yeah, definitely.
Through Instagram.
Yeah, definitely. If anyone wants to get in contact with me, and if you want to tell them my name or whatever. You brought a picture of the Lincoln Cathedral that you've done, and you say that's needle felted.
That's needle felted, which is what you're doing now.
Yeah.
But again, it is slightly different because that's what they call wool painting. Now, I didn't try the wool painting until lockdown, and I thought I'll have a go at this because I never had a go.
Yeah.
And that's when I found I could do like the animal portraits and things, which is what I started with really.
Yeah.
And then I tried the cathedral. I tried Heckington Mill first.
Yeah.
And then I tried the cathedral.
It's gone pretty well by the looks of it.
Thank you.
I think it's nice.
It was a photograph I took myself, so I work from my own photos.
Yeah, you take the photo
often,
get it on your phone and copy it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
So the wool painting is you felt into a base fabric, so that one's been felted onto linen.
Yeah.
I think that one's linen as well. I think the one underneath is onto a felt.
This one?
Yeah, I think the one underneath that is onto.
Yeah, it's got a thicker material, hasn't it?
Oh no, it's also linen. Sorry.
So you can do it onto felt as well.
So you can do it onto a felt, the acrylic felt or a wool felt fabric that you can buy in the shops.
Yeah.
Or on a wet felted piece that you've made yourself.
Yeah. And how much? So at the moment we're looking at a small sort of, I suppose it's a sort of size of your hand. A cat on a linen, did you say? Mm-hmm. How long do you think that'll take you?
Probably maybe about 12 hours.
Really?
For one of those, yeah.
So you do actually do it on here, and is this?
Yeah, you felt.
Do you have this on the?
This would be on a sponge, not that one because it's too lumpy. It'd be on another sponge.
Yeah.
And then these are created by tiny little fibres of lots of different shades of colour of a specific wool that I have at home.
Yeah.
And then that way you can build up all the different shades. You can't see it so much on that one with it being a black cat, but you build up all the different shades, almost like painting.
Yeah.
But you're just literally painting with wool.
It's amazing, isn't it?
So yeah.
It's cool.
So there's lots and lots of different shades in there. You can see.
I reckon it must be quite hard to get it defined, and like it must be quite a skill to. I mean, it's the same with painting, isn't it? Being able to like blend colours together and some of the stuff you see people do.
So you can blend the wool as well. You can blend colours by hand in your hand.
Yeah.
You could blend that now. Look, if you blend those together, you'll end up with like a grey.
Yeah.
So it is just like painting, but it's with wool.
It's cool, isn't it?
And a needle.
Yeah.
You end up with.
Yeah, you've ended up with like a sort of dark grey. Yeah. It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's clever.
Do you have any role models, Joe?
I don't know really.
In general, or
my mum.
Yeah. She's your main one.
She was always my role model.
Yeah. What's some good memories you got with your mum?
Oh well, we always used to create things together, and even when I went home, as I've got older, we've created things, and then she's created things with mine when my kids when they were little as well. It's gone. It's
passed down.
It has passed down. Yeah.
Is she not from Lincoln then? You moved up here?
No,
didn't
I'm
you?
from Bridlington.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
So
that's where she's living then, is it?
That's where they live. Yeah, they live in Bridlington.
Right. Did you get to see her much?
I go when I can. It's just with
Time.
working weekends and things. It's quite a long way there and back. I have to go in there and back in a day as well, really. So it's not really anywhere to stay. So
Yeah. Well, that's the tricky, isn't it?
They're not very well, both of them either. So it's quite
Yeah.
hard. But all the other families up there, so I know they're looked after.
Have you got quite a big family then, or?
No, not really.
But
I've got
they
two
are there.
brothers, Yeah.
Yeah.
Some aunties and uncles up there.
Nice. So I've made that kind of flat now, but
You have.
it's still a bit rough on the edges.
Well, it doesn't matter. You can do anything you like. So you can just either just stab it in to shape it up a bit.
Right, you come
like
in
that.
that angle, yeah.
You have to keep the needle straight, otherwise it'll break, but you can come in sideways. You can use that one, it's fine.
Yeah, I see what you mean, yeah. So you come
So as
in
long
at
as you
an
keep
angle.
it straight, just going at its angle. That's it.
Yeah.
Keep going. Doing well.
It's good fun, actually. I can see what you mean by it. It's sort of therapeutic.
Yeah, you just get into the zone.
Yeah, it's a bit like sort of, I don't know. I like sort of things like this. It's the same, because I design stuff at where I work, motorcycle bits, and when I'm doing that, I'm just sort of on the computer drawing lines and stuff and
Yeah,
drawing
I
shapes.
can't
I
do
love it. It's good fun. Yeah, it's not something we were able to do until I'm a bit more sort of computer based than my dad, so I had to sort of bring it into the business. But
Yeah.
I know what you mean. You get into the zone.
We
with
didn't
it.
really learn that when we were at school, so
Yeah.
lucky if they even had a computer.
Well, he was saying that as well. Yeah, he was saying that he did design at school, but they never had any computers, and now it's all about computers. So
Yeah.
it's mad, really, isn't it? So now you've got like some other are these completely different bits of wool?
these are this is from a sheep called a Gotland sheep.
Yeah.
So this is the locks as it would come off of wool. It's clean.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm not worried about that.
So those are the locks if they would come off the sheep
Yeah.
like that.
So you can use it as like a decoration.
Yeah, so you can use it for decoration, which you're going to do in a minute. You're
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
stab it in for your little sheep.
Mine's
And,
a bit bigger.
Better. It'll still stab in. You can
keep
stab
going.
In, yeah, so you can see it's a bit thin there. Look.
Yeah.
So you can still stab in round.
Keep going in from the
Yeah,
edge.
it'll keep going. You can get it solid. This is quite loose still, this one, because I did it quickly
Yeah.
to show you. So what happens with the wool is you would get I buy fleeces sometimes from farmers because they don't get a lot of money from the wool board, so
Right.
they sell them online,
Yeah.
and it might cost us maybe, it can be anywhere really between £5 and £20 for a fleece, depending on what breed of sheep it is.
So that's a full shearing.
Dirty, smelly fleece.
Nice.
And it gets posted to you, and then you have to wash it.
How do you buy them from all round like farmers, or do you like source them from local farmers?
I've had some from local farmers and local owners of sheep, smallholders with sheep. But some, I've just recently bought some, I think they came from, I think it was Scotland, if I remember right. But I do buy them from different places. There's a place on Facebook called the Greasy Fleece page or something like that.
Yeah.
And they will put their fleeces on there for sale, and you need to be quick.
Yeah, if you want to get one.
I just got some beautiful fleeces from a lady, and then I actually bought another one from her because it was so lovely.
Yeah.
And it was called Blue Faced Leicester.
Yeah.
And it was little like this, but it's white, but it's really tiny little ringlets, but quite long.
Yeah.
So it's really beautiful. So I often use the locks like this for sheep if you're doing workshops, or for the gnomes, the tomte gnomes for their beards and things.
Yeah.
So to buy a fleece for, even if it's £20, you've got an awful lot of wool there, and you have to clean it and wash it, obviously, which I'll do in small batches out in the garden. Can't do it yet, it's a bit cold yet, so I'll start doing it as soon as it gets warmer.
Must last you a while then, once you've got one of those.
This is it. It lasts for ages, and it's far, far cheaper than buying it online, washed and ready. I'd only get a handful, maybe for 15.
So if you're willing to do
20,
the process.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And you're
isn't it?
helping them as well, because they're not getting the money from the wool board, so they get the money.
I bet that it's like milk with cows and stuff, isn't it? They don't get much money for it.
No.
Yeah. They've got to. Yeah, well, you're helping them out, aren't you, as well?
Yeah.
And it keeps an old tradition alive.
I have a drum carder, so with some of it I will put it through the drum carder, so it'll go from that state to like this state.
Right. Yeah.
So this has been
shreds
carded.
it up a little bit.
It's like a big drum with lots of little it's the fabric that's on it is like lots of little needles on it. So as it goes through like a bottom drum, it goes around on the big drum carder, and it stretches it all out. It'll stretch it all out like that, and keeps stretching it all out until it ends up like that. So it cards it and straightens it, and
looks like a cloud.
Yeah, a fluffy cloud
at the end of it.
Yeah,
wow.
It straightens all the fibres and brushes it all out basically, so that you can then use it.
Sounds like quite a specialist piece of equipment.
They're quite expensive.
Yeah, I bet they are. Yeah.
But because I am working as well, I've invested. If I get money from my products, I've sold my products and workshops and things, and then I've invested it in things like that, because I probably wouldn't have been able to afford to buy them otherwise.
Save up from it and put
they're about £300 or £400.
Yeah, yeah.
That, so.
Yeah, I suppose it's like a mixer if you're doing your baking or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah. So then these go through another. They can go through another process then, especially the finer wools.
Yeah.
And they then pull out the fibres even more.
Yeah.
And create something called wool roving, which is then. I should have brought you some to show. Oh, it's probably more like that. Look, so it becomes smoother. That's not wool though.
Yeah.
I think that's alpaca.
Is it?
I'm not sure. Could be. Just a little bit in the bottom of the bag. So then it becomes much smoother, and all the fibres are aligned.
There's a lot of texture involved, isn't there, as well? That's the thing. I didn't really appreciate that from... Like I said, as soon as I saw it in the flesh, it's like a different thing.
Yeah.
It's on your Instagram, which I've looked at a lot for it. It's kind of... You're
stalking me, are you?
Yes, I'm looking at what you're doing. Yeah.
But then
I've got to, if I know, I've got to know what questions to ask you.
Right. I don't think people realise as well how much of a process wool goes through to then become something that, as a jumper that you wear.
Yeah.
Because like with this would then be stretched out, and it gets thinner and thinner and thinner. Then it would be spun. It could be spun, or it could be dyed, and it could be spun, or it'll be dyed after it's been spun. Then it becomes yarn, and then that's what they use to create clothing with. Weaving or knitting.
Yeah.
So it goes through ever such a lot of processes.
Well, that's it, all the things around us that we've got, like all the different stuff.
Yeah.
It's all the same, isn't it? Like it goes through something that you wouldn't understand unless you'd looked into it or read about it or whatever.
But there's so much to learn. I mean, I'm still learning all the time, just something else.
Yeah, well, that's the fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's
it's just magic.
Yeah.
It's like magic.
I don't really know what I'm doing here, but I'm making
it's fine, as long as it's attaching.
I'm making a fluffy sheet.
Yeah.
I'm trying to copy your thing, but I like how you've done it around the edge, actually. It looks nice.
I think I've put it loose around there and maybe
torn it up
a bit more. Or just fluff it out. Just gently. With wool, you have to do it gently.
Oh dear, it's not bad.
Because if you do it like that, it locks itself.
Yeah.
So you just have to pull really gently like
that.
Right,
okay. There you go.
Something I always teach people at workshops.
Yeah. How long did they last for, the needles then? They pretty much...
Well, that's how long's a big piece of string.
Yeah, I guess you can really just use
could
them
break
forever.
That within 5 minutes, and then it will last me 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Or otherwise I can use it for
that makes sense.
A couple of months.
Yeah.
It depends on the quality. Some seem to be better quality than others as well.
Yeah.
I bulk buy some for my workshops and things, and then not always as good quality as other ones. Like that one's a better quality one that you can.
Yes, that's the old thing, isn't it? If you invest in it, it'll last a long time, I suppose. A better one. Yeah.
But I mean, one flick and that can be snapped.
Yeah, exactly. And I suppose this kind of bending it's something
that's
that happens over time.
Yeah, I bend that.
Yeah, so you have to sort of look after it a bit.
So it probably isn't going to last much longer. And they do go blunt as well.
Yeah.
You'll suddenly realise, oh, there's my other needle.
It's not as effective. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll suddenly think, it's not working very well, and you're stabbing away and nothing's happening. That's either because you need to then go down to a finer needle to then, get the fibres.
As you've worked it down, it becomes finer, so you have to use a finer needle.
Yeah, for them to all felt together a bit more, or it's because it's blunt.
Yeah.
That's not that quick, is it?
No, exactly.
Doing that little one.
So I'm working on something that's sort of the size of middle of the palm of your hand, and it's a lot of time, isn't it? But I suppose What do you do anything while you're doing it? Like, do you watch TV or?
I often watch TV, yeah, or I listen to music.
Yeah. What kind of music do you like, Jo?
Oh, any really. It's
anything.
Quite eclectic, yeah.
All sorts.
Just listen to anything that's on, really. The radio.
Which radio stations do you like?
Links FM normally is on.
Yeah, a little bit of Links FM. I like LCR, to be fair.
Which one's that one?
It's like the one that just plays music in Lincoln.
Oh right.
I can't remember who sort of hosts it, but there's a few people.
Yeah, put some more around that edge there.
That's good, that.
I like it when it's summertime and I can sit outside and felt.
Yeah. Hear the birds and stuff.
Yeah.
That's one of the things. That just reminded me. One of the things I had was like, how much does nature sort of inspire you with your felting and stuff? Like, is it quite a big? Well, what inspires you really with your felting? Is it just what people ask you to do, or do you like to go, oh yeah, I like that, I'll try and do?
Yeah, I use my photos a lot,
Yeah.
and I might use little treasures and things like that. Ammonite there, that was actually an ammonite, piece of an ammonite I had,
Yeah.
which I did a study of.
A fossil, yeah.
Or just.
Did you find that yourself then, the ammonite? Or
No,
did you?
I think it was a bought one, that one.
Yeah, someone got it for you.
I have got one that I once found.
Have you really? I've been watching stuff about that recently, actually, fossil hunting.
Well, I'm from Bridlington, and
Yeah.
I mean, all my life I looked for fossils, and then I think it was when the kids were little, actually, we once went up and we were walking around Sorbet, and there was one perfect ammonite just sat on a stone. I reckon somebody placed it there, but it was there.
Waiting for
sat
you.
on a big pebble, I should say, not a big stone.
Yeah.
So I found one.
They're
I
amazing,
found more
aren't they?
down south on the Jurassic coast. You're better off down there.
Is that near Cornwall?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to go and see that, actually. Yeah, I've been watching a guy who lives down there.
Dorset.
Yeah. There we go. So
I mean, from photographs, I just make anything really on a whim. I think, I'll just try a mouse. I saw some photographs the other day on Facebook again. There are some pages where photographers very kindly put photographs on of animals, or there's an animal one, and then I think there's one that's just for anything really.
Yeah.
And they will allow artists to use them and work from them for their pictures, which is what that dog one is.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to do some for the portfolio.
Yeah.
And a lady put some on the other day for some rats. Well, they were so cute because
Yeah.
they're pet rats, and they're
Rats are quite cute,
coming
actually.
out of teacups and all sorts of things. So
Yeah.
I might use those to create a rat.
Yeah,
I haven't
yeah.
made a rat for a long time,
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
because it's nice to be able to get good photos with good features, and
Yeah.
you can't really just use random because of copyright issues. So
Yeah. But I suppose once you've made that, though, that's your own thing, isn't it?
yeah.
So it's kind of like, I'm pretty sure you get away with that, wouldn't you? Because you're
Well,
creating
with
your
that
own
one,
thing with
because
it.
it's got that flower in its mouth, it was very obviously her photograph.
Really, yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, she might get wound up if you start posting it as if it's your own.
But
Yeah.
she gave permission for that. So,
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But
That's
I do
cool.
do memorial portraits for people as well, so
Yeah.
I'll use their photograph to do that.
What's like the hardest things to actually like portray? Is it people then, or?
I've only ever done one person as a portrait, which was the Ziggy Stardust one,
Yeah.
and it wasn't easy
Mm.
getting the skin tones and everything correct.
Facial features are hard, aren't
Yeah.
they? Because we're so subtly aware of them, aren't we? It's hard to represent it, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I haven't done any more. I have made little dolls, like more pixie type dolls with their face. I learnt those skills at a workshop with a Russian artist.
Yeah.
She came over to England and did a workshop up in Newcastle.
Yeah.
And I was lucky. I went to that. It was just as COVID was happening,
Yeah.
and she didn't. Bless her. She's called Anna Patapova, and she didn't speak a lot of English.
Yeah.
She didn't know whether she was going on to America to teach a workshop there, and she didn't know if she was going to get home even.
Really? Yeah.
It was
Wow.
the January or February then.
Yeah.
So yeah, is that my phone? Sorry.
It's all right. No worries.
I'll turn it off, or it's going to keep dinging. So yeah, she's the most amazing doll artist, needle felting doll artist,
Yeah.
and so I was.
So that's
lucky,
that's like a sculpture almost, isn't it?
yeah. So I was lucky to
Spend some time.
spend some time
learn
with her.
something.
And,
Was that with a few folks then that you did that with? Or
yeah, there was quite a few people from all over England went.
Is
to
she
that.
quite well known as well?
Yeah,
then?
very well known on the
Wow.
internet. Yeah,
Wow, that's cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel a bit sorry for her at the moment because obviously she's Russian, so she
Yeah.
has a lot of her
Well,
sites and things closed down, and
Well, the people, it's funny, isn't it? Because like, whatever the politics is, the people think differently, don't they?
Creatives, it's not their faults particularly, is it?
I follow someone who's like, she's like an electronic musician, but like, she's Russian, and she just decided to just go off all of the social medias for like 6 months, and now she seems to be back to normal. But it was quite sad at the time.
It is, yeah.
And then people like commenting like, "What are you doing? Why aren't you talking?" And like, you just
it is sad.
Yeah, but it's just politics, isn't it?
And she wasn't allowed to go and exhibit at an exhibition.
Yeah.
When it first started, she was supposed to be going to some like doll exhibition.
Yeah.
I think it was in Europe somewhere, and she wasn't allowed to go because it was Russian. She was Russian.
Yeah. We found a company recently at work who supply some sort of motorcycle accessories that we were interested in, and we were like, oh, looks good, but it'd probably be quite tricky to get it, to like sell it at our end, and I don't know what happened with it really, but because we sell all sorts of different brands and things, and they were just, it's sort of put a bit of a spanner in the works, hasn't it, for like a lot of that
it's difficult,
stuff.
isn't it?
So you say you haven't always lived in Lincoln. You say 20 years ago you moved here.
I think we've been 2002. I think we moved here.
Yeah.
I'm from Bridlington.
Yeah.
In Yorkshire, and I moved to London after I'd been to college. So I was 18 when I moved to London.
Right.
As a nanny. I was a nanny for years.
Yeah. What was that like?
Quite hard work. It was quite good fun though.
Very busy.
Yeah. I like London. Don't mind London.
Yeah. Good fun.
Yeah. There's always something going on. There's always something happening.
Did you have a few friends down there as well then?
Yeah, I met my husband there. So his mum lives down there and his brother.
Oh wow, okay.
So then we got married and we couldn't afford to buy a house in London, so we moved to Aldershot.
Yeah.
So the kids were born down there in Aldershot. So William was born down there.
Yeah.
And quite posh.
Yeah. Hoi and polloi.
He was born in Guildford, Royal Surrey.
Yeah.
And we used to go up to my mum's and he used to say, I can talk 2 languages, when he was about 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I was like, really? He said, yeah. Bath and Bath.
That's a good one. 2 languages.
Bath?
Well, it kind of is
grass
2 languages.
Grass.
It is like 2 languages.
So I've never let him forget that.
Yeah.
So then we wanted to buy a bigger house and couldn't afford a bigger house down there.
Yeah.
And so we came to Lincoln because it was kind of halfway between 2 families.
Right. Yeah.
About 2 hours-ish, 2.5 hours down, about 2 hours up.
Yeah.
We've been here since, I think it was 2001, I think we moved here, I can't remember. So about 21 years.
Do you like it?
Yes, I like Lincoln.
Like living in Lincoln.
Yeah, it's alright. It's a bit backwards sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah. It's out
it's like living in a village.
I suppose it is, yeah, compared to living in London. And, yeah, it is really, isn't it?
No, I do like Lincoln because it's quite easy to get anywhere as well, isn't it? Apart from when you want to get out of the house and the road's blocked. That's the only problem with it, isn't it? Is that
the roads
something
aren't up
happens
to it.
and
that's it.
You can't get anywhere.
It's true, yeah. It's a bit crazy, isn't it? Really,
Yeah.
I lived in Lincoln before I moved here. Like I moved here in October last year with Gemma. We were living down near, where the grandstand is.
Oh yeah.
And there's like an estate near there. I was living there, but it was all right for me because I would leave to go to get work Gainsborough where I work and come back in the evening. And there was never any traffic for me, but coming the other way was a different story. But yeah, no, I like Lincoln. I think it's nice. I don't know. I've not spent. Obviously, I went to school in Lincoln, but I've not spent loads of time in Lincoln. Really, I don't know. Not as many as some of my other friends, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. It's got a lot of cool history, hasn't it? That's the nice thing about it.
I like the two halves. I tend to spend more time uphill than downhill, I think, nowadays.
Yeah. Bit more your sort of scene.
I don't know. It's just easier than walking down and walking back up again.
Yeah. You can just stay at the top.
Yeah.
Well, Burton Road's actually got quite a few nice little shops on it and stuff, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Right, I think that's kind of...
In fact, I don't really need to go into the city. I always call it a town, but it's a city, isn't it? I don't really need to go in at all, really, because there's so much opening uphill as well around the Rugby Road area. There's so many different shops and things now around there. Yeah. And at the back, you don't need to go anywhere, really.
Yeah. A lot going on, isn't there?
Just a little roll like that and then just stop.
That corner is.
Yeah. And sheep ears always come out. They don't go up.
Yeah.
Unless they're ones that look like bunny ears. There was a breed whose name I can't remember, but their ears go up.
Yeah, my cousin Charlotte, she's a sheep farmer.
Oh, right.
Over near Netland. And I might have to give this to her. Get another one there.
So the kids went to uni. Rosie went to York and William was in Nottingham.
Yeah.
She stayed in York, but he came home for a bit, but he's now in London.
Yeah.
So he's working.
Oh, William's in London, is he? I didn't know that.
He is, yeah.
What's he doing down there? Is he enjoying it?
I think so. He's a data analysis. He's still working from home, so he pays an awful lot of rent, but still working from home.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's enjoying it.
Yeah.
But I think he quite likes it because he can see his nanny and goes for Sunday dinner and what have you. Sees his uncle.
Yeah. Got a few
which
family
he never
members
really
about.
did when he lived here because he wasn't really near the family.
Yeah.
But he's coming home next weekend. I haven't seen him for a while.
Yeah.
So he's coming up next weekend.
Nice.
Yeah.
What else have we got on here? It's quite weird to try and do the interview and do the sheep, but that's alright.
That's alright.
If money was no object, what would you do with your days?
Oh gosh, I didn't see that one on the list.
Nah, I did that one later.
You have that one in. If money was no object, what would I do with my days?
Would you do the same thing you're doing now?
Probably.
Yeah.
Oh, I would like to have my own little creative workshop where people could come and, like a cafe,
hang out,
eat cake, drink coffee,
chat,
yeah, sell creations.
Well, you could do that, couldn't you?
Walk the dogs.
Yeah, be nice that, wouldn't it?
Back. Yeah.
Take it easy. It's nice to spend
I
time
still
with
would
people.
probably work there. I don't think I'd never work.
Yeah, it keeps you busy, doesn't it? Yeah. So at the school that you you're teaching assistant basically.
I'm at college now. I'm a learning supports assistant.
Right. Okay. And what kind of classes are you in? Are you in all sorts of classes?
I go all over. Yeah, I spend 2 days a week at the Art and Design College, and I'm 2 days a week on the main site.
Yeah. And what kind of how do you enjoy doing that? Like, is it fun?
Yeah, I enjoy it. It can be quite stressful sometimes and quite challenging, but
every day's students and that.
Yeah, every day's different. Every hour's different sometimes.
Yeah.
If you're in different places around the college,
yeah.
So it's good because you don't get bored because you're all over.
Yeah. I got a friend who was doing that recently. He's stopped doing it now. He started working at festivals and stuff, but he was doing the sort of TA kind of work.
No, I listened to your podcast. You had your podcast with him, didn't you?
With Hugh, yeah. And I think he really suits it, to be fair. But yeah, he said he really enjoyed I think he was working with primary school kids, so it's a bit different. But have you ever worked with that? Yeah. How did you find that? How different is it to working with sort
Probably
of young
not
adults?
that much different, to be fair.
No, they're about the same.
Probably.
Yeah.
I've worked, because I was a nanny for several years. Then I worked in a shop in London, in retail in London for a little while to have a bit of a break.
Yeah.
And then when we moved to Aldershot, I worked in school down there in Guildford.
Yeah. Done a lot of different stuff then, haven't you?
Fair bit, I suppose. Because we've lived here the longest now in Lincoln, so I guess I'll have to call this one at home now.
This is the main one now.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice one. Right, so we've got to put
I've
the
worked
eyes
at
on.
college for about 6 years, so
Yeah.
I've been there a while now. You can get finger protectors and things, but I didn't think you'd need them just to do this.
Nah. Don't mind hurting myself. I've hurt myself a lot.
It hurts.
I bet it does. The same sort of thing as you,
Yeah, there's quite a few people in the area that do felting.
Yeah. Do you get to spend much time with them, or is it kind of?
Not really. No, I used to run a stab and gab. At Tesco's community room, but I just don't have time now.
Yeah, it's a lot of effort, isn't it? Setting it all up and stuff.
It's alright.
It's quite challenging.
Just go on, just take that bit that you've got there. That's it.
There we go.
You can always pull bits off.
Yeah,
add a bit more.
Good though, because you can kind of go back and forth with it. You don't have to kind of, If you get,
it's very forgiving.
Yeah.
And if it really doesn't work, it can always go inside something else.
Yeah. It's a good point. Yeah.
Never throw anything away.
Use it as filler.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And sometimes it just wants to be what it wants to be. I mean, I've started off making things. I think the story I would usually tell people is I started off making one. It was supposed to be a mouse, and it ended up as a duck.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it just has its own mind.
Yeah. You got to work with it.
Mind your finger, your thumb even.
I'll try not to stab myself.
But it is very forgiving.
Yeah. It is really, isn't it?
It's got a lot of properties as well.
Yeah.
Wool, especially the wet felted wool. It's the hats will be water resistant.
Yeah, so you can actually use it every day, sort of thing.
Yeah, you can use it in the rain and things.
Wow.
It's antibacterial.
Yeah.
It's insulating, so they keep you cool in the summer.
Yeah, that's the thing about wool, isn't it? It's quite good for both
natural
temperatures.
Fibre.
Yeah.
It's fire retardant as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's... The sheep say they got it. They know what they're doing, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, people have used it for all sorts, haven't they? They use it for tents, yurts. All your yurts and things would be made with wool.
Yeah. I suppose
Shoes.
it goes back a long way, doesn't it?
Very
like the
long
uses
way.
of it.
Yeah.
Are you interested in like the history of it as well? Like?
I have looked at it before. Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose there's endless stuff you could be reading about it, isn't there?
Yeah, I've got books and things that I've read and about the history of the wool.
This one's got one bigger eye than the other, but that's all right.
That's okay. It's a bit like Shaun the Sheep.
Yeah. So now just a
and
little
then
bit more black.
Weeny little bit of black.
Wow. Looks quite good. I'm quite happy with that, actually.
Oh, you see, first time. Is that the first time you tried it?
Yeah.
That might be too much. I don't know.
Never done it before. I do like working with my hands. I'm happy doing that.
If you're practical anyway. And...
Yeah, like before I did the CAD work, I used to do a lot of hands-on stuff as well. Put it there. Not where you're supposed to put it, is it?
No, you're not. Yeah, that's why it's quite good at college because you get around different workshops and things.
Yeah.
I learned how to build a barbecue. I can build a barbecue.
A barbecue?
Bricklaying, yeah.
Wow. I want to do that. I have to get you around again to do that bit.
I don't really go in the workshops anymore though because I had plantar fasciitis, so the steel toe cap boots were really hurting my feet.
Yeah.
And standing up in the workshops and things, but it was good. I enjoyed it.
I want to build a pizza oven, which I guess is probably not too dissimilar.
Maybe similar, yeah. They taught me how to bricklay. Students.
Yeah, I didn't expect you to say that.
Yeah. It was a few years. It was before lockdown.
Yeah. Bit of cement and...
Yeah, it showed me how to keep it level and how to...
Is it quite challenging? Or
it was.
Yeah, to not end up with a wall that's all sort of all over the place. Yeah. I noticed, I suppose one of the main things one of the parts of this kind of craft is it's quite environmentally friendly, really, isn't it? Like in what you do.
It's biodegradable.
Yeah.
And it's sustainable because if...
Natural product, isn't it?
Yeah, and also if the sheep are obviously still living, they just regrow their wool and then...
Are you quite interested in that kind of thing then, like the environmental aspect of it?
A little bit. I try to get wool from sheep that are still happy and running around in their field, but it is difficult to get it all from there. I mean, obviously
it's
the
more
really
expensive,
fine
isn't it?
and dyed wool, it's difficult to do.
Yeah, I suppose it does add a lot of cost to it.
Yeah.
We were trying to get like different packaging and stuff at work recently, and it's just, we really want to do it, but you've got to spend like twice as much on it to get it.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it, that they don't make it easy for people, because then obviously more people would buy it. And...
Yeah. I was watching Guy Martin's thing last night. He's done this thing about power on Channel 4, and he was talking about this fuel that he can put in his van that's like works the same as diesel, but is sort of like 10% of the carbon emissions.
Oh, right.
And but it's like twice as much money to buy it, then you can't get it anywhere, obviously. Like you say, it's just like hard to get that stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
At a good price.
I mean, when I have cards and things printed, I buy the cellophane wrappers for them that are made from potato starch or something, so that they can be put in a compost. But
right,
so they're a little bit more expensive, and they feel awful and they're really crinkly. But people want, because you have to do. you do what people want, don't you? And they want their card to be wrapped in a cellophane wrapper.
Yeah.
Not to be just on the shelf with nothing on it.
Yeah. Do you enjoy the sort of making stuff for other people then? Like, do you get quite a lot of enjoyment out of that part of it, or is it? Can it be quite stressful at the same time?
Do you know what the most stressful part is actually posting it to them.
Yeah, all that messing about.
Because I made there was a lady that let us use her photos. She's amazing. She's a shepherd.
Yeah.
And I used one of her photos for one of my other paintings that I've done.
Yeah.
And it's been sold now with her sheep on, and she lost her dog. So I, as a thank you for letting us use her paintings, I did a wool painting, a portrait of her dog, which was a Labrador, golden retriever. No, it was Labrador.
Yeah.
And called Daisy. And I wrapped it in a recycled Amazon box thing, covered all the barcodes, everything up. I paid the most expensive postage to be sent up there, like for next day delivery. Had all my details on the back of it.
Everything ticked all the boxes.
Yeah, ticked all the boxes. Got her address and everything, because it was all a surprise. And I said, I've done this. I did ask her for some pictures and said I was going to do it, but she didn't know which picture I'd chosen or anything.
Yeah.
Got the notification it had been delivered, and it had been delivered to an Amazon returns place. I was like, what?
Right.
Contacted Amazon, contacted Royal Mail. Royal Mail said they were going to go straight back and get it. Never did.
Nothing ever happened with it?
Nothing ever happened.
That's such a shame.
It was never found. Amazon were quite good, and they did go through all the offices to find it, but obviously they just throw everything that gets returned, which seems to be the thing. It was never returned back to me. It didn't have their address on, so why on earth it was even taken there in the first place, I don't know. She only lived about 12 miles from it, so it was nearly there. And that was just over a year ago, and she's never been found. Yeah. And it's not something I could claim for because I hadn't sold it, so I didn't have a receipt.
Yeah, just a gift sort of
thing.
It
wasn't something I could just recreate again either, because there was many hours of work in it.
Yeah.
I was gutted, and it's like that. It's like sending your children off in the world. It's really
something you've
quite
worked on
stressful.
For a long time.
Yeah. So I couldn't claim for it. I couldn't get any insurance for it. I think they sent me the stamp, the postage in the end, which doesn't really cover anything.
It's not good.
And in the end, I had it printed on a mug, and I sent the mug up. She got the mug as a surprise with the picture of the I created on the dog. Yeah, but it's not. Well, it's quite difficult with the postage sometimes, and things get delayed. I suppose
because the stuff's quite small and light as well.
It was quite a big parcel.
Was it?
Yeah, it was a.
Yeah, considerable then.
Yeah,
that is a bit. Crap,
it was a portrait. It was a big. Yeah. Cost me like £8 or whatever to post it. It's like,
right, okay, that's no good. You don't expect that, do you?
So that's the stressful part.
Yeah, delivering
sometimes people will send photographs and they'll say, "Oh, please, could you make me a sculpture of this dog or something?" And I only want it small. I only want a small one, and that's the worst thing because small's actually harder.
You want something decent size.
You can't get the detail in a small one.
Yeah.
And sometimes they've lost the dogs like many years ago, and the photos are not great.
You have to kind of make it up. That doesn't look like my dog.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
So you have to keep asking for more and more photos, and then they don't always have them because they didn't take so many photos, maybe 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's always nice to do it, and it's always nice to see the smile on their face when they get it.
Yeah, doing something for someone and like they enjoy it when they get it.
Yeah,
it's cool, isn't it? I like that. I do a little bit of that at work sometimes, like. Because we get like different product ideas from customers like quite a lot, and they say, "Oh, can you make this for this or whatever?" And it's nice to see them smile when they've got it, and they go, "Wow, thanks for doing that." Didn't expect you to do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Bit more of a personal touch.
I think probably the strangest request was the silver birch hat.
Yeah.
Have a silver
birch.
One of the concertina hats, but looking like a silver birch tree. Okay.
All right then, yeah. I'll have a go at that. Yeah, it's quite a strange request sometimes.
I did. I made a sample first. That's why I brought the book. I must not have picked it up.
Yeah.
I did a sample first to make it, so hopefully it came out looking like a silver birch tree. The little eyes, because almost like eyes on them, aren't they?
Yeah.
And she was happy with that, and then I recreated the hat, and she was very happy with it. She was actually a friend of my daughter's, so I knew it wasn't
Yeah.
It wasn't too stressful because I knew her and I knew what she liked. But yeah, she was very happy. So she wears it quite a lot, I think, and because they do LARP out there, so she wears it a lot as part of her costume.
Yeah. Nice sort of what would you call it, like presentation piece sort of thing. Yeah.
Often gets seen.
Would you do one for me then if I gave you a request? Nothing crazy, not a hat. I'd like to have a rabbit or something for Gemma.
A rabbit?
Yeah, probably a similar sort of size to those cats or something like that.
Yeah,
maybe.
Do a rabbit.
Yeah.
Do you mean a rabbit or a hare?
Maybe a hare actually. Yeah, longer ears and bigger, aren't they? Yeah, but obviously something a bit bigger if it's easier for you.
I have done them before in the past. You probably saw them, did you, online?
Yeah.
There's one on there.
Just let me know how much you want and I'll send it across to you.
That was a big one I did once. Look.
Oh yeah. This is what I've seen. Yeah, these are cool. I like those. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, do one for Gemma and.
You don't need it right now, do you?
No, just whenever you want it. Whenever you want to do it,
Okay, if it's secret, it's not secret now. She's going to listen
No,
to
I'll cut
podcast.
this bit out. I might not. I don't know. She might. I might leave it in, see if she is.
No, she's listened to your podcast though, won't you?
Well, yeah. I don't know how many she's listened to be fair. So she's probably bored of me now, so she's probably not listening. What's an ideal day for you with your crafts then? Like things go right, basically, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment I tend to do the wet felting in the kitchen.
Right.
Because I've got a bench out in the shed, but it's too cold at the moment. So there's no heating or anything in the shed.
Yeah.
And so an ideal day, I suppose, it would be a nice warm day for a start off.
Makes a big difference. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Like to be outside, be able to do it outside in the sun.
I like to work in the sun, but I can't really do the wet felting in the sun because the wool is a lot finer and it flies away. So I would start it off in the shed and then take it out into the garden and do the messy stuff in the garden.
Yeah. So it is quite a messy process sometimes.
Well, it's just wet.
Yeah. Get crap everywhere, water all
unless
over
it's
the
really
house.
dirty wool, and then it really is messy and dirty, and that is done out in the garden.
Basically, a washing process. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just like making things, and my ideal day will be when I've retired and I don't have to go to work anymore.
Yeah. Can do it more often. Yeah.
And I can just create. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just like making things. So any day I'm making anything is a good day.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I feel
I
that.
mean, it can be frustrating if something doesn't work, but like I said, nothing is wasted. I mean, I've tried to. It's not all wool felts, and sometimes I buy mystery bags from. I get a lot of wool from a company called World of Wool, and there's another one called Wingham Wool, that are both in Yorkshire. And sometimes I buy mystery bags because you get quite a lot of wool in it and lots of different colours, but you don't always know what it is.
Right.
And sometimes if I'm wet felting, it just won't felt.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't felt very well or doesn't shrink very well, then obviously if you're making a hat or a bag or something, it's just not going to work. But it's still not wasted because I'll chop it up into pieces and maybe put it into something else as an embellishment, and then put wool on top of it, so you get a raised bit or a pattern or something. A bit like on that ammonite there.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, like this kind of thing. Yeah.
So you would get something else going on. So you don't waste anything. Nothing is wasted.
Yeah. You end up using it in some project somewhere. Yeah. It's cool, isn't it?
So this has got silk. It's got sari silk, bits of sari silk in it, and then I had to go with some copper foil just to see
what it looked like.
Yeah,
does look good actually.
It's framed actually.
Yeah, it would look good, wouldn't it, on the wall? Yeah. Have you got things in frames like all around your house then? Or
I've got things at home.
Yeah, little bits and bobs.
Mostly because of lack of storage as well. So I put them on the wall out of the way.
This owl's really cool. I love it.
I like the owl.
Yeah, this is the kind of size I'm thinking, I suppose.
Okay.
But yeah, just let me know what you think. But
well, it'll probably be about that sort of.
Yeah, that's fine. Right? Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it'd be nice. Nice to give you something to work on as well. When you get time, you're not too busy. It's all right.
I haven't made a hair. I was thinking the other day I need to make another hair. I haven't made one for a while.
Yeah, it's cool.
But it depends. But let me know if it's definitely a hare or a rabbit, because I do rabbits as well.
Yeah, I'll have a little look.
Bunnies. Yeah, or just send me a picture of one.
Yeah.
I want one of these.
All right. Yeah. Okay. I'll do that.
That's the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
because I've done the lop-eared bunnies, which were pictures of people's pets.
Yeah.
Not pictures, sculptures from a picture of somebody's pet.
Yeah. It's awesome. So much detail goes into it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Even with the little claws and the...
Yeah,
the
I wasn't
eyes.
very happy with those, so then I went and PVA'd them, so they came out a bit better.
It's cool though, isn't it? Because they feel like
well,
claws.
that's wire.
Yeah.
But I wasn't happy with the way that the feet looked.
Yeah.
So I think in the photo that's on Instagram, they don't look as nice as what they are
Yeah.
now.
Where do you get all your little
They've come from
logos
China.
and things? Yeah. That's all right. You got to use them sometimes. The Chinese, haven't you?
It's only because they're about a quarter of the price of the ones you buy here.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine that.
I feel like it's still a small company that I deal with, and they're very good. And I mean, I've just had a new batch come through, and I ordered them on the Thursday, and I got them 1 week, and I got them last Friday, like the week after, from China.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
and it was like about £13 for 30, and that was posted.
Yeah. We get certain things. I mean, a lot of our stuff's made in the UK, but we get some certain things from China at our place. Yeah. Just because, like you say, you can't compete on some of it.
No, and it's still a small company, and they're very nice to work with. And they always send you a photograph of what they've made, like about 2 hours after you've ordered it. They're just amazing, really.
Yeah. How did you find them then? Just on the web? Just found
it's on. I just was looking through AliExpress, and they came up on there.
Pretty good website, really, isn't it?
I mean, in England, it probably cost me £1 for one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're not very geared towards making stuff cheap.
They only go on my better sculptures.
Things that you're proudest of. They look good, don't they?
Or like over a certain price point, over about £20, I put those on.
Yeah. So there we go. I think.
Have you done it?
Kind of.
Oh, there you go.
I'm not completely convinced, but it kind of works.
It's all right.
Take a little photo of it. Why not?
Yeah. I'll take one as well.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
It's your first time at felting, and you were talking at the same time. So the fact that you've actually done
I've actually made
two
something
things at once is
It's cool. Yeah, it's good fun actually. I can understand why you do it. It's kind of chills you out in the evening.
It is
Like Jen
quite
was saying.
therapeutic, yeah, and it's almost like mindfulness, especially if you get into a rhythm.
Yeah. Do you ever like to read, Jo? You know, like reading books or anything?
I do read, usually when we go on holiday.
Yeah.
Because I don't have time at home.
Yeah, me too. Actually, I like to read on holiday.
We've got a little touring caravan, so if we've gone off and we're in the middle of nowhere and there's no signal, so you can't look at your phone.
Yeah.
You can't. That's when I'll read several books.
Yeah, you need to be forced to not use all that stuff. Yeah, I know what you mean. Actually, yeah, I try and do that when I go and see my mum because she lives in. She's here at the moment, but she lives in France.
All right.
And when I go there, the signal's not too good all the time, so I'll just.
I've got Miriam Margolyes, is it Margolyes?
Right.
Autobiography to read, which I know is going to be hilarious, but
I
just haven't had a chance to sit down and start it yet.
Do you like reading about people's lives and autobiographies and stuff like that?
I'll just read anything really.
Yeah.
I just quite like her, so I thought it'd be quite funny to read it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to read all sorts of stuff really. Gemma's just got the Richard Osman books. I can't remember what they're called now. But yeah, they're very popular, aren't they? And I'm looking forward to reading that. Apparently it's really good. Yeah. I don't read enough though, to be fair.
No, I don't. I used to read more, but obviously I just don't have time. And I've got 2 dogs as well, and if I sat down to read, it'll be one in my face. It wants attention for something, so I just don't really have time.
Sometimes I listen to audiobooks though, and that's quite good.
Yeah, sometimes I put.
Recently.
Yeah, sometimes I put like. Again, it'll be just random. Like I find a random podcast to listen to or something when I'm felting.
Yeah. Something to sort of listen to while you're doing it.
Yeah.
It's good, isn't it? I like that combination of like when you're doing something with your hands and then you can listen to something else at the same time. Yeah. It's quite relaxing, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Do it at work quite a lot. Listen to a podcast while I'm drawing on the computer.
Never used to be able to do these things years ago, did you? So it's quite good that.
Yeah, it's
technology's good for some things, I suppose.
Yeah, good and bad, isn't it? Good and bad. plans for Entangles? I suppose it would be have a space, wouldn't it? Like you said, like have a space to do things.
Yeah. Well, I thought I'd got a space. I I took my daughter's bedroom, but the bedrooms are quite small. And I filled it
pretty quickly.
Yeah. Because everything
problem,
was downstairs in the dining room, and it just the problem with wool, as you can imagine, it just expands when you've opened a packet because it just goes.
Yeah. It's all everything you're doing is physical stuff, isn't it?
It is, and having to store it as well in between craft fairs and things. So it is all up there, and I do have a bench, and I have obviously I sew as well, so my sewing machine and fabrics up there, but I've not had time to do any of that recently.
Yeah.
And so I try to keep it tidy, but I kind of put it in and shut the door. At the moment, because it's a bit cold up there because I haven't got the heating on in there, so I tend to work downstairs anyway. So I keep having to bring things down, and then it's coming back again. Yeah.
You need to. The thing is, though, if you have more space, you'll probably fill that.
I'll just fill it. And I'm more recently, in the last year or so, I've bought a weaving loom and spinning wheel because I just want to learn everything. Yeah. So I'm teaching myself to spin.
Spinning wheel. So that's is that for making like
for
thread?
Spinning wool. Yeah. So using this and then spin it into yarn.
Yeah.
And then use it for the weaving.
Wow, yeah, that's cool. So what you'd like to be able to do really is kind of try and do like the whole process.
I'd like to do it all. Yeah. But I've bought them. I mean, like I keep telling him, I'm buying them now before I retire, and then I'm hoping that all these things try and build my business up until I retire. Yeah. And then just have my business to. Concentrate on. That's my idea. Whether or not it'll work we don't know, because you don't know what life's gonna throw at you, do you? But
but you got to work with best intentions.
Yeah,
that's nice that you've got it like you've got a bit of an idea in your head about what you got. Well, you got to have that, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, they're quite big purchases. They're all quite expensive things, so I'll buy them now while I can afford it, and I've got this, the extra income from the business because I am employed as well, obviously. Yeah. And then
you'll be the person with all the things, though, won't you?
I will. Yeah.
They'll have to come and see you because you'll have all the kit.
I just haven't got a workshop. I just need a proper workshop.
Yeah.
Proper studio.
Well, it's an expensive thing to have, isn't it? If you don't have it on your own, if you don't have the space in your own house.
I don't have the space. No, it's not a big house as such. I mean, I don't know. Maybe one day we'll move and get a bigger room, but that seems a bit daft, doesn't it? But.
Well,
you should be downsizing as you get older, not upsizing.
Well, my dad's that's what I thought my dad might do, but he's ended up trying to be moving out to somewhere in Langworth now, and they've accepted his offer, so it's actually happening. He does a lot of talking, but without actually doing anything. But it actually has happened with his wife. So, but it's like I say, it's a bigger place, and it's got a garage on it. Yeah. He wants to be able to like work in his garage and mess about. But yeah, it'd be nice to.
I mean, we've got a big shed in the bottom of the garden. It's like a big brick building, like a biggish building, but it's got camping things in it and about 4 bicycles and
just stuff that
my husband cycles and he cycles, so he's got different bikes, and then of course there's kids' bikes in there and then there's chest freezer in there, so there's not there's not an awful room. And there's a little tiny shed next to it that's got shelves in that's full of fleeces, so that's all mine.
Because
I don't put the fleeces in the house because they would stink.
Yeah.
So,
need another shed, don't you?
I just need a bigger house and garden.
Yeah. It's tricky though, isn't it, with space? And I've got a bit of a shed out there, and I was thinking it'd be nice to I'm going to see how it goes and carry on doing this for a bit, but it's nice to have like a proper room because it's insulated as well, so it's actually quite warm in there in the winter. I was thinking if I got a little heater in there and then like a nice table and a couple of nice chairs to sit at, it'd be a bit better. Shed. Yeah, well, but like that, it could be for the podcast,
Yeah.
Go in there and sit down with someone and they can have a bit of a chilled out time, a bit more relaxed, but and obviously the sound quality as well. I'd like to get some proper microphones and stuff, but it's all good fun, isn't it?
Trial and error.
You got to do what you can do, haven't you? Really?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's good fun though. I like it a lot.
Yeah. So I've just bought a folding screen just to hide everything now in the dining room, so you can't see it. So it's fine.
I quite like those folding screens actually. You mean like the kind of Oriental thing? Yeah, they're quite cool, aren't they? Kind of works.
It just blocks all the light out from the patio doors, but it's there. All at the bottom.
Bit of a general question.
Yes.
I asked Jamie, all this as well, I think. What do you think about most? Do you think about future, past, or present?
What do I think about most?
A bit more of a personal question, but
I don't know really.
Are you thinking about the now?
Yeah, I think about the now as much, more than anything. There's no point in too many bad things in the past, isn't there? And it's like you can't think about that. You have to think about what's now.
Yeah, and what's going forward.
I mean, obviously, I've thought about the future with the building up the business, and you hope that your kids are going to be sorted and everything for the future. But
yeah,
I think it is more. I think as you get older, you tend to think about the now and what's happening now.
Really? Yeah.
I think so. I feel
you're more focused on it than you maybe
used
to be.
Yeah, I think so. Because obviously, parents are getting older as well, so there's not going to be a very long future for them, is there? So you've got to think about the now, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I tend to think about the now normally, but like I don't really tend to think about the past much. But yeah, I probably do think about the future a bit more. But as I say, probably because I'm younger.
Yeah. I think about
happen.
the future in the respect of what I want to do as I retire, and the future, and hoping that the kids are sorted, and maybe what's going to happen in the future. You don't know what's going to happen in the future, do you?
No, worried about other things.
It's
all this stuff with Russia as well. Like that's made me think recently. Like it's like a thing that we can't control, isn't it? And I can't imagine.
Well, I do know an artist. She's a felt artist called Lena Archbold. She lives in Newcastle. She's Ukrainian and she's married to an English guy. And I went up to her workshop and learnt how to make some Nuno felted scarves quite a long time ago now, but we've stayed friends.
Yeah.
When obviously all her family are in Ukraine, and she's a role model, really, I suppose. She's such an amazing woman. I mean, she was running her business, obviously looking after her children who are still at school, but they're older teenagers. And then fundraising. She raised like £12,000 in a weekend,
really,
to support people in the Ukraine.
Yeah. By
putting all her online workshops up for sale at, I think they were half price. I can't remember now because obviously it's a little while ago now, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just as it first started.
Yeah.
But she raised all this money in a weekend, and she's worked with another felt artist from the Ukraine, who is involved in a lot of charity work and things in the war effort. She's got her over in England just at the end of last year, I think it was.
Yeah.
Or the beginning of this year, I can't remember now. Time flies.
Yeah.
To teach workshops over here so that she could earn some money, and then she's used that money. She's gone back over. She's coming back in May to do that again.
Yeah. Using her craft for the good.
Incredible. And then she went. Obviously, all her family was still out there, so she went out there to try and save her her sister-in-law and the children, and her mum and dad were still living in their own house, but then that got bombed, and then she had to go back out and save her parents. But she was just incredible, and she was putting every day. She was putting on Facebook an account of what was happening and the paperwork and everything. For the refugees, they were stuck in Europe for like weeks and weeks and weeks, and they had family to come to, and they still wouldn't let them come over because they were putting them on different visas and not the right. It was heartbreaking to read
family
all her
in a war
stories.
zone.
It was absolutely heartbreaking reading all her stories. But she's just absolutely amazing, and then still trying to run her business all at the same time. Yeah, it's just incredible.
You don't understand, do we? Like the pressure that they're going through, you know.
No, it's just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But I think her immediate family are all here now in England, and she's still fundraising.
That's good.
She puts on concerts and things like that up in the northeast.
Yeah.
Raises money.
That's a good story, isn't it? It's nice that she's been able to do that, and it's just sad that it had to be in that way.
It made it more real about what was going on because we were reading her story in her account.
And well, that's it. It's someone you can, a person, face to a name sort of thing, isn't it? Face to a country, I suppose. It's like you know, most of the people in Ukraine and I'd say Russia as well, they're just trying to get on with their lives, aren't they? And like we all are.
Yeah.
And they're just caught up in this kind of like turmoil that.
It's just horrendous, isn't it?
Yeah.
And for what?
Nothing, just for some guys. Some guys, basically, his like vision, his like rose-tinted vision of what the past, basically, isn't it? It's all to do with the past. And they say things like, he might be ill, so he's trying to fulfill his, what he thinks he needs to do.
Stop him then.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it is mad.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing the here and now is what you've got to focus on, because you just never know what's around the corner, really.
No. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Definitely, yeah. I think that's definitely true. Are there any other crafts that you'd like to try that you've never tried before?
I thought about that one.
Did you?
I think I've tried most things.
Yeah.
I've been to workshops, or I've had a go.
Yeah.
Bought kits and things when I was younger.
Yeah.
And I was trying to think, and then I thought that I've obviously observed the students doing lino cutting and things like that.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed the look of that, so I quite like a go at lino cutting, like proper intricate lino cutting and doing the prints.
Is that where you use like a kind of chisel-y
yeah,
thing?
But they will cut out the design, print it so many times, and then cut out more of the design and then print it in a different colour, and it builds up like that. So it's once it's done.
You get different layers.
Yeah, that's right. I'd love to have a go at that. And the other thing that I have never tried is, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, cyanotype, I think it is.
Yeah.
Cyanotype. I had to write that one down. Yeah, cyanotype printing.
Right.
Which is the blue. It's a photographic process, and they put things on a special paper and expose it to whatever. I don't really know, because I've never done it.
Some kind of light.
Yeah, some kind of light.
Yeah.
And then when it comes out, it leaves like a blue. It's blue, and the object that's been on there it leaves a white space.
Right, yeah.
So it's really beautiful to look at. So you can have things like feathers and things like that, and it looks lovely. I'd quite like to have a go at that. I've never done that.
Yeah, that sounds quite interesting, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know really
much
cyanotype. Yeah, I think I've heard of that. I think we might have had something like that at school. Like
maybe
it might have just been a red room actually for photos, but I'm sure they did. I remember the name from school, so maybe it was. Yeah, we'd also. It'd be amazing to go back to school and do some of the stuff we had then, because I took it for granted when I was that old. I wasn't that interested, but
she'd want to go back to school now.
Maybe just when no one's there, I'd just play with all the stuff we've got. Yeah, I probably wouldn't actually.
I don't think it's got a very good reputation since you were all there.
Really? Didn't know about that.
I think it's
No, really. No, that's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember. I've got generally quite fond memories of it. Really, yeah. I think it was good. Like a few teachers who were a bit weird, but most of them
get
were
that
cool.
everywhere though, don't you?
Yeah, that's something that is just people in it. But yeah, got some that I'd really like to do a podcast with, because if they were up for it. But
have you asked them?
Yeah, that's one, but I haven't got back to me yet. He's probably quite busy. Mr. Lyon, I don't know if you remember him at all.
I can't remember.
Yeah, he was like an English teacher, but he was great, and he was he showed me lots of cool stuff. Like he used to hand me books and things, and I did media with him as well, and he showed me a couple of films that I really like, some of my favourite films now. But yeah, I don't know. It's one of them. The thing about this is it's not for everyone, And like, I'm sure when you saw my message, you were like, "Who's this?" Like.
Yeah, but I listened to your podcast and I thought, well, actually, you make people feel at ease, so I'll go for it.
Were you a bit nervous about it?
I sent him, yes. I sent a message to William. I went, I've just been asked by
I bet he was surprised
Andy,
too.
I still want to call Adam Ann.
Yeah. I need to change that. It doesn't make any sense.
And he went, he says, I didn't really know. That's very random. He said, I didn't really know him, but he seemed nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I thought, all right, I'll have a go.
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting because I've never... The one thing I think that's quite fun about it is trying to speak to people you don't know. And like, I think that's quite a good skill to have. And I'd like to, like when I'm at work, spend a lot of time just working on my own and stuff.
Well, that's the same with any creative, really. Work on your own. So.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't get enough contact with people, so it's nice to make something else creative that involves people, But
yeah.
think
I mean, I guess because I'm employed as well, I do get out, so
Yeah.
I'm not just stuck on my own at home.
Yeah.
But
I suppose
yeah.
I'm quite lucky really to have a job that is creative as a job, you know, because not many people get to do that, do they?
No.
And I'm lucky with that, but it's, at the same time, it's quite isolating in a way
Yeah.
when it's your full-time thing.
I think you'll find any artist
Yeah.
or
Feel like
artist
that.
says that, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
I think that's why there's so many community like groups and things that sometimes meet up.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. What else have I got on
But
here?
I'm not really into networking. I find that really difficult, so I don't tend to go to them really.
Yeah. Find it a bit awkward.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I still struggle to call myself an artist. That's the problem.
Yeah, I don't like that word. When I used to make music, I used to think, I'd write a thing and be like, this is my thing. The thing that like your title on your page, like, I'm an artist. It's like, not really. I'm just messing about. Like,
but I'm not just messing about. So
yeah. I felt like I was though. Back in the day.
it's just the thing in my head that I just find it difficult.
Yeah.
But somebody said, "You are an artist.
Yeah.
You're a fibre artist."
You are, yeah.
I said, well, okay, but I just find it really hard.
Yeah.
So.
Be speaking about yourself in that way,
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like, but you create some amazing stuff though, Joe. So
Thank you.
that's the thing, isn't it? Last one I got on here, and I know you laughed at this one.
God.
It's your answer. You don't have to worry too much about it. It doesn't have to be right or wrong.
I don't know what the answer is.
The meaning of life.
Yeah.
You don't know. Not sure.
No.
But
What
maybe
answer
that's
is-
the answer. There
maybe
is
it
no answer.
There is no answer.
Yeah, we're just chucked into this world, aren't we?
You just want to be happy, don't you?
Yeah. Make those around you happy. Yeah.
Wish your kids are happy. Hope your kids are happy.
Yeah.
Just
Well, that's
get
it.
through it.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Definitely, like people around you. That's what most people say, and I think it's what it all comes down to, really, for everyone. Is that like they've got a good family unit and.
Yeah, I mean, we've had so many things thrown at us, like with Rosie and everything, and just.
Yeah.
I think life is for living now. I think that's the problem. I think it's got to be that.
Yeah. Got to
'Cause you
make
just don't
hay
know
while the
what's-
sun
You
shines.
don't know what's going to happen, do you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, must have been a hard time for you, that
Very difficult. Yeah.
being her mum and like, you don't expect that to happen to your kids, do you? You
No.
think it's going to be you, or
And it was totally random as well, because she's not a sun worshipper, so it wasn't a melanoma that can be caused. When often people have skin cancer, it's because they've been sun worshippers and they go out in the sun with no sun cream or anything like that. She wasn't like that. She was always she hated the sun. She'd always have a hat on, and she was always covered up. She always had sun cream because she's redhead, so she would burn.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So you weren't expecting
It's
that.
just no.
Yeah.
No.
How does she like deal with it? Like now that it's happened.
Well, it obviously affected her. She found out the day before. She was diagnosed the day before her 21st birthday, so I'll never really forget it.
Yeah.
And she was just finishing her degree as well, so it was quite difficult for her. But she got her degree done.
Yeah.
And then obviously each time you go, yes, it's cancer. Yes, we'll just have to cut a bit more off around it to see whether it's spread. Oh yes, it's spread. We need to take, and then it's like we need to just take a bit more and test your lymph nodes to see whether it's spread to those. And then it's spread to those. And it's always, it's always that, oh, you've got to wait another week or so for those results, and then you've got to wait another. So obviously her mental health took a knock, because it was very difficult, and she's very needle phobic as well. But she's got a bit better with that now, obviously. So
a bit more used to it.
So she went for like the scan when they put the dye in and everything, and she almost looked like she was having a seizure on the bed as they were putting all these injections in. And he was like, "What's she doing?" I was like, "Right, she's just passing out."
Just what she does.
Just another thing,
Oh, bless her. That's really hard, isn't it?
So yeah, it's not. I mean, she's kind of said she's resigned herself to the fact she's just going to have lumps chopped off for the rest of her life, because you can't treat it like you can with other cancers. You can't treat it with chemo and radiotherapy. You've just got to keep cutting it off and hoping it hasn't gone any further.
Wow, that's terrible.
It is what it is, isn't it?
At least they know, and
I mean, they've never signed. They're not signing her off.
No.
Because she was so young. She's been in remission for 6 years, I think, now.
Yeah.
I mean, she's had a couple of smaller ones since and had some removed and tested, and they've come back benign. But Leeds had said that they would never sign her off. But then there's been a mix-up. She was supposed to be being checked yearly now, but then one lot of paperwork's not got to another place. So she hasn't actually been checked for about 18 months now. So that's a worry in itself. So hopefully she'll be checked.
So there's like a mix up between the different hospitals and things like that.
Because they were transferring her from Leeds to York.
This is like what Tara was saying in that one I did the other day. She was saying, like, I think she was saying Leeds and Hull, maybe it was Nottingham. She was saying that they were like giving her conflicting answers on what they should do. So I think one of them was saying, yeah, go ahead and you should have the operation, and the others were saying, no, we don't think you should. And it's just like, you don't expect that, do you? Before?
No. Well, Leeds were fantastic. I mean, she had all the treatment and everything. Leeds, they were absolutely fantastic, and the surgeons and the consultants were absolutely amazing. And going back, we'd have a day out and go back. I always went with her if I could for her checkups, but because they were putting her down to yearly checkups because she was on a 6-monthly, they asked her if she'd rather have them done in York, because she could have them done in York. So she thought she would, because obviously that's where she lives.
Yeah.
But then in the transferring of the notes from Leeds to York, they've never got there for some reason. So she's never had her appointment, which should have been like last October for a checkup. And
never got through.
She was quite proactive, and she rang Leeds and she rang York, and they found out that I hadn't got there. But then again, the clinic at Leeds were very good and said, well, we'll try and get you back in here. So hopefully she'll get transferred back to them. Yeah. I mean, it's the same with the lymphedema. She's supposed to have the lymphedema checkups every 6 months, because she's supposed to have a new garment every 6 months, because they use their elasticity. Do you know what lymphedema is? No. Well, it's because she hasn't got the lymph nodes in her leg. Yeah. It doesn't drain off all the fluid. So basically, one leg is a bit bigger than the other, because it's full of, like if your ankle or something swells up, or your foot swells up with fluid, it's like that, but all up her leg. Yeah. So they have to wear. You'll often see ladies that have had breast cancer or something. They often have like a sleeve on their arm, and she's got like a full length on her leg. Yeah. And it was because of lockdown. The clinic was in a hospice in York, but because of lockdown it was all closed down and it never reopened. So she'd gone like 2 or 3 years without a new garment, which was not good either, but that's now been sorted. But Leeds was saying, well, you need to go to York Hospital. York Hospital wouldn't take people on because they had to have cancer now, or it had to be breast cancer or something, I can't remember. Yeah, and
category sort of thing.
And then it was the talk of going to Scarborough from York, but they wouldn't take them on because of something else. And eventually, I think and consultants in Leeds said a lot of his patients from York were having the same problem, and eventually something happened, and then
they're not all connected, are they?
No, seems not.
I remember, I know a lady who was a nurse. I know an interesting couple actually, that she was a nurse and her husband was a GP. I'd love to talk to them, but I don't know if they'd be up for it. But I remember her saying that they're not connected a lot of the places, and they have their own sort of system. And I just couldn't believe that really when I heard that.
But it should be, when it's all electronic, shouldn't it? It should just all be
linked up.
You should be able to just
one database, see everything that's happening. Yeah. But yeah, it doesn't seem to be how it is. So I suppose because it's government funded and nationalised, I suppose that's part of it. That would be part of the blame, I don't know, but it's a shame, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters to people, isn't it? Like health. Yeah. Thanks for telling me about that though, and opening up about it.
All
You're
right.
happy to.
Right.
Yeah. Thanks for
I
joining me.
tell
as well.
students when they come in red raw, we said, put some sun cream on.
Yeah. Yeah. I went to Africa when I was young with my dad, and I didn't put much on, and my mum was fuming about that. I got it on my nose, like burnt nose and everything. I was about 10, so maybe I should go and get checked. Might be in the
Well,
same
it's not. You just never know. It's just if a mole changes shape, colour, whatever, just go.
Yeah. Gemma was saying that recently.
I mean, the type she had was one that's quite aggressive, so it almost exploded rather than just grow. So it was very, very quick, and they go deep very quick. That one. That's why she was stage 3 straight away. I mean, if she hadn't gone, she might be different. She might not be here because there's only 4 stages. Cancer.
Yeah. Lucky she found it then. Basically.
Yeah.
No, bless you.
So
Yeah.
it's what it says. She's still here. She's all right.
She's here. She's doing her thing.
She's done a master's since.
Yeah.
She keeps talking about doing a PhD, but
yeah,
she hasn't done it yet. But
maybe one day.
she's very academic.
Yeah, interested in that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know where they get it from because I certainly am. Anyway.
No, thank you, Joe. Thanks very much for coming and doing this and putting your trust in some random person who messaged you on the internet. Yeah, it's really interesting. Thank you.
Hello again. Thanks for finishing the podcast and getting to this point. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. Thanks to Jo for joining me on that. I feel like she did say to me a couple of times, I think she might have even mentioned it during the recording, that she was nervous to talk about herself and what she does and other things. Thanks for doing that, Jo. And I know it's not the easiest thing, but I thought it was really interesting, and I learned something new. So it was good. If anyone's got any questions about anything, or you might want to get involved on an episode or anything like that, just let me know, and put a comment in the description or send me a message on Instagram or something like that. I'm always up for having a chat with anyone, really. So thanks very much. See you again.